What's going on, people? It's your boy, Mr. On Point. We got a special episode today with some special guests. And because of the election, we talk about some specific things in the conversation, but not until later. So, the episodes have been kind of cut and moved around so it flow a little bit differently. And it was a long conversation. So part 1 is going to be released today. Part 2 is going to be released on Thursday. So enjoy the conversation. Self-serving, persuasive talkers
of everything and nothing.
We are Conversation Con Artists. What's going on, people? It's your boy, Mr. On Point, and as you know, Red is not with us today at the Conversation Con Artists podcast. She has surgery, so wish her well. Send her some wishes with a listener letter if you want to. But I have some guests with me. I have Sid, the twin kid, and Collin. Sid, what's going on? Tell the people about yourself and what you got going on.
Hey y'all, I am from the podcast Let's Not Go There. We talk about relationships and sex in a very childish, dirty manner, but it's entertaining. And I'm glad that I get to come and talk with Eddie and be an adult and not talk about things in a very childish manner today.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's give and take. It's like a roller coaster. It's like adult childish. In and out.
I'm a child all the time. Gemini doesn't know for being a child. I'm a child all the time, pretty much.
Okay. And we got Collin. At this point, we might as well just call you a contributor, like CNN. Just be having contributors. Just
like
don't be on that Jeffrey. Yeah, don't be on that Jeffrey Tubin now.
No, we can't be on the no tubing allowed. There's no tubing on the Zoom call. But
we might as well just call when you masturbate on cam, you just tubing out here.
Oh Lord Jesus.
Collin the meat positivity correspondent.
There we go. I like that.
Wow.
So Sid, I don't think Sid is probably familiar. Oh no, you should be familiar with
me. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
familiar.
all right.
I didn't, you know what? It just clicked in. Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
So look, this is gonna be a wild ride, y'all. What we doing is a whole combination of different type of letters, relationship letters, am I the asshole letters, and Collin got us on something new, which we'll let him talk about when he get into it. So let's just dive in. Well, first off, let me say you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. MISTER_on_point. Where can y'all be found if they want to get at you?
You can follow the podcast at Let's Not Go There Podcast on Instagram, as well as follow me and my co-host. His name is FM Live, and mine is Sid the Twin Kid, exactly as it sounds, on Twitter.
Sid SYD.
SYD, not SI. It's SY. I'm a woman.
Cool. Yeah, you can find me, although it won't be. I'm not. My posts are not all about meat positivity all the time, but. Twitter and Instagram, CASmith07. So pretty simple. A lot of nerdy stuff. Maybe a little politics every once in a while. But that's about it. I don't got nothing to say. Look, I do have something to say, but nothing in detail. Look, you got with somebody and they got different politics. That shit might have been okay 10, 15, 20 years ago when it was like we all could say like, oh, we can disagree. Let me tell you something. Nowadays,
agree to disagree.
Nope, ain't no agree to disagree. We got one side that's trying to put my ass back in chains, and then the other side is trying to like make that not happen. So it's like we ain't no agree to disagree. Ain't no agree to disagree. I'm saying Black Lives Matter, and then the other side is saying Blue Lives Matter. Ain't no agree to disagree.
Let's see the pathway that she went down with this shit, because I'm interested in how that shit happened.
Yeah.
If they explain it. We've been married for 3 years, and she's never been political. Well, go ahead.
So this will be good because there's another subreddit I discovered that's for people whose marriages are falling apart because of the last 4 years of political climate. So it's all about
shit.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. So let's go.
Damn. Okay, we've been married for 3 years and she's never been political. Once we had our second child about a year ago, she started getting really into reading mommy blogs and social media posts about the potential harms of vaccines. Shit, that's
you
where
don't even need to say anything else, man. Look,
I listened to her, haven't made my own stance on it yet. I'll admit I'm not as passionate about the subject as her, so I haven't done much research and empathized with the regret she was feeling about vaccinating our kids and hope that she would kind of leave it at that. Well, she hasn't. She's only gone deeper into the rabbit hole, and she talks about all she talks about now is negatively about the government and what they're doing to deceive us. The vaccine blogs turned into interest in the child trafficking and QAnon conspiracies, and now so close to the election, she's admitted that her apolitical stance has now shifted into one that's pro-Republican and pro-Trump. I majored in political science, so I know all the strategies both sides are taking to try and sway the swing state that we live in. I'm anti-Trump, not super supportive of Biden, but agree more on his priorities points than 45, and will not be voting for him, and she's expressed her unhappiness about it. I'm choosing to respect her opinion as I feel she's entitled to it, but now she gets angry with me every time I disagree or provide evidence that refutes her position. Fake news, echo chamber, all that. I've tried to tell her what she's doing is also in the realms of an echo chamber, but claims her sources are more credible and refuses to back down. At this point, I don't even want to talk politics anymore, but she keeps telling me that's not an option because it's not about politics. It's about our kids. Honestly, I'm at my wit's end, and we're fighting about this so often, even when I ask her to respect my opinion. Any thoughts or others who are in the same position?
Yes, like I said, my own thought is you need to go to www.google.com, and then you need to type in whatever your name of your state is first. So sounds like a swing state. So Michigan, Pennsylvania, whatever one of those swing states is. And then after you type that, you need to type divorce lawyers. That's it. That's it.
I don't think there's a way to. This is the problem when you date someone. Now, regardless of the political stance that she has, there were signs of her being a conspiracist way before this. There's no way that you could date anybody and not know they're a conspiracist. It's impossible. Okay. Now, when you date someone that is a conspiracist, their opinions are always going to be ever changing. They're never going to be in a stance. They're always going to be ever changing.
No principles.
There's no sense of principle. So I think you have to be careful with those kind of people in general, because there's someone that entertains conspiracies than someone that is a conspiracist, which she clearly sis is. So my thought process is she is beyond education. First of all, this is no against anyone who is a Republican, but not all Republican people support Trump. But if you are a Trumper, you are part of a cult. Because when people now can say that they don't believe the news and they're just getting information from anywhere, where do you get your information from if you don't believe the news or you don't believe credible websites anymore? Where are you getting the news that you believe? That's why I'm confused. So when you have people who are beyond that kind of reasoning, I mean, if you feel like you love her and you feel like this is something that could go away, I would suggest staying away until somebody's elected. And then, of course she'll complain, but eventually she'll kind of get over it. It seems like Republicans were quieter when there's a Democrat in office. I don't know what that is about. So I don't know. I mean, I think you should wait it out if you truly think the love is there and it's a moment in time, and just wait till the election's over and hopefully things go back to normal. Or you can really put some sage on her and start to pray over her, because she's a lost cause.
Bruh, you need to send her to a Trump rally and escape with the kids. Because she's going to have COVID. Let her get rid of her like that. Let her get COVID. Hope that she get the ventilator action. I know that's fucked up way of putting all of this shit.
Ventilator action. Ventilator action.
Yeah, that's fucked up. Fucked up to say.
But you got to think about, if she's anti-vaccine, anti-COVID, and she's in support of the Trump administration, how they've been dealing with COVID, she is a liability because you guys have kids together. You cannot have someone who doesn't respect the COVID priorities and what Dr. Valcooni's been saying about how we can prevent COVID, because those are the same people that have been spreading the virus. You have children in the house, you got family members, I'm sure they got a dad and a mom that they not, that are of a particular age that they're not trying to make things happen for. And that's a liability. So I personally think that she's kind of beyond help, in the same way that you quarantine during COVID. Maybe you should quarantine during the election. It's only a few days away. Just take some time and stay away from her. I hate saying it like that, but just stay away from her until this is over.
Absolutely. So question. What is y'all's threshold for where your partner's political beliefs can go for you to be like, okay, fuck this?
Listen,
at the point that you have kids.
I don't want to all right, so it's cool to humble brag a little bit. So you remember I used to be in the Army. So
I remember.
I worked at the White House when President Obama was there as like a military aide. So that's it. Like that's where my, affiliation lies, so to speak. I voted in every election except the Bush and Kerry election. Um, that was the first time I was probably eligible to vote. I think I was that was 2004. So I was 19 maybe. Didn't vote in that one. I regret it. Um, and I've never voted for anything other than a Democrat my entire life, my entire adult life. Um, and I've been one of the rare instances of people. Like, I don't understand how people don't vote down the ballot too for like their local stuff. Like, I always have researched and voted for everything on my ballot. And then it's the added complication of being a black person, right? Which is like, we're at a stage now where, I mean, maybe 10, 15 years ago, as a black person, you could have married or got with somebody who's a Republican. But like nowadays, like, for me and her, that was one of the first conversations. Like, we meet up, talk, hang out, first date, whatever, it's cool. Like, we just chatting. Next date, it's like, all right, this is the interview now. I got to go through a list of things, right? Like, so who'd you vote for? Like, who you voting for next time? Like, all everything, right? Like, are you a big Kanye West fan or not? Like, I had to go through everything to check, to be able to suss out what, like, do you believe in vaccines? Do you believe in science? Do you believe in data? Like, all that type of stuff. So, I mean, it works out because, she was a research chemist at Eli Lilly. So pretty clearly she believes in science because she was doing science as her job. You know what I mean? So it's like, I had to get a lot of those questions out of the way. Like, that's, threshold has got to be what it is. Like, and, nowadays it would just be straight up. Like, I wouldn't even, if I was still on the dating circuit and was having to be dating people who were white or whatever, it'd be, do you believe Black Lives Matter? Like, straight up, like, that's it.
So do they have do you feel like they would have to have the same ideals of you, or is there a wiggle room? Like, what if they went over to libertarian and was like, I'm voting for Jorgensen,
Nah.
I'm right,
Nah,
that's too far.
For me, yeah. I mean, I got some pretty strongly held views on not on libertarian more, generally, but like, just like, we have like a rash of people now, because this kind of gets into the news conversation. There's like a whole bunch of people now who are, maybe on the further left or whatever it is, and they're saying like, this is why we need a viable third party in America, because like blah 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 blah. And like, my response to them is like, if you're a historian at all, you study this country at all, like, this country's never had a third party, and probably never will have a third party. Like, that, it's kind of the nature of the, a viable one. There's third parties. There's third, fourth, fifth, sixth parties out there. You look at I was looking at my ballot before I voted this time, and I'm like, who the hell are these people that are running for president? You know what I mean? Like, so, but like, it's just the nature of the country is that, like, it's always been, kind of like a two-party system going all the way back to the beginning. And, I think that people should probably, the wiggle room comes within that sphere, right? So if like I said, I'm a Democrat, right? So that's what I vote for. The wiggle room for me comes within on the left side of the aisle, is being able to hold some different opinions within that type of space. You know what I'm saying? So, you vote Republican, like, you out. Like, I'm sorry, like, you's out. But, for me, that's where it kind of comes in. Because, I mean, there's some things like on the left side, like, that I don't necessarily might not agree with right now or whatever. And my opinions have changed over time. I used to not believe marijuana should be legalized when I was in the Army and was like more kind of in the government, stuff like that. Now I live in Washington State, in Seattle. So you already know what that means. Like, so, there's, and it was actually a very big decision point of me wanting to move here. So, but then, you go, something like, for example, like Medicare for all. Like, there are some people that believe that should be the only healthcare that we have. There should be no privatized healthcare whatsoever. Like, my employer, I get really, really good private healthcare from my employer for no money, like no real have to, not a whole lot of money. And so for me, like, I'm like, I can still be a liberal, progressive person and not want my actually really good employer provided private healthcare to not be an option for me, for example. Like, sure, you can opt into something like socialized healthcare. I think that's great, but like, so there is some wiggle room there. Whereas if I could see myself dating somebody who held a lot of the same views, but maybe she thought, no, it needs to just be 100% Medicare for all. Like I could deal with that. That's a we can agree to disagree, or we can have a discussion about the nuance and everything, because we're both trying to get to the same goal there, which is like trying to help people who have affordable health care. But there's different ways to do that versus trying to date somebody who's like, we need to throw Obamacare in the trash. That's a hard line where like there's not a lot of meeting in the middle anymore. Like, that's kind of a myth to me, where there's certain viewpoints where like there is no compromise. There is no meeting in the middle anymore. Like there's a group of people who want to make the country a totally different place than the other side. So
I agree.
Look like you froze again on point.
Yeah.
I did. Always looking dumb as hell when freeze.
It's another real bad freeze too.
Yeah, I was looking. I was just like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah, my camera freeze like every 40 minutes for some reason. I don't know why I do that. This one was a quicker freeze than the last one. I don't know what's going
on. For me, it's a little different. I have always been someone who has chosen candidates and not necessarily aligned with any specific party. Just in general, I always go off what the candidates offer, their policies that they offer, and I make my decision based off of that. It just has been so happened that majority of the candidates that I have particularly had a favoring to were Democrats. But if Democrats for any way, shape, form, or fashion put up anybody and they don't align with what I want, I'm not going to align with that party. I've never told anyone that I am a Democrat or a Republican. I vote based specifically off the candidate. Now, that being said, it wouldn't make sense for me to vote for Trump. He doesn't offer me anything, including that damn whack-ass platinum plan that don't make any sense and doesn't have any specific policies geared towards Black people whatsoever.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to that later.
We'll get to it, Collin.
We'll get to that in a minute. But for me personally, someone being a Republican is not an automatic no for me. It's only a no for me if you are a supporter of a candidate that doesn't align with my views. If you're someone and you say that you have more conservative views, so you typically vote Republican, you could be someone like Mark Rubio, who has policies that Obama did favor, and is still technically a Republican, and someone who, honestly, if it was a Mark Rubio versus Biden, I may be voting very differently. For me personally, Trump is he's not just a Republican. He's way past just being a Republican issue. He is now a symbol to a whole different group of people, of white supremacists, of Nazis, of fucked up cops. Like he's a totally different symbol. He's a complete symbol of hate. And for me, it is not just about the policies that he's created. There are a couple policies here and there that he has done that he hasn't completely fucked up, to be honest. But there have been a majority of his policies that go against disenfranchised people. Like, I don't want to ever have someone that's a part of my group of people who feels like people who live in a certain housing group of people should be like, I'll never forget when I was hanging out with a friend of mine who is a Republican, but who is not voting for Trump. We live in a suburb. I live in a suburb. We all live in a suburb. And we were watching, and he said something about, I gave, white women, can you learn to like me again? Like, I saved your homes. I saved your communities. And I was looking at her and her husband, and they're just like, this is just ridiculous. This is crazy. I can't believe he is saying this on the air. So for me, when I date, I do ask people's viewpoints. I don't want anyone that's a psycho liberal where you like to the point of like, you can't be flexible. If I agree, we can't agree to disagree. I don't want to be with anyone that we can't agree to disagree in general. I don't want to be like that. But I also don't want someone that puts their political stance above my livelihood. So if you're someone and you don't believe in Black Lives Matter, I don't care what you are, we can't date. If you're someone and you're just like, the cops can't do no wrong, or you believe in these respectability politics, these Bill Cosby politics, that's what I like to call it, where if you look or you act a certain kind of way in front of cops, then you're going to be saved, we can't date. If you're someone and you feel like, the environmental health is not a part of your priority list, and you feel like, then we can't date. So it's about just you having a certain moral compass more than you having a political stance. If you aren't a good person, because these all go into the groups of good people, then yes, we can't date. I just feel like if you don't have a good moral compass in anything in life, I don't want to date you. And that goes with you and your political stances. So that's just kind of how it works for me. I don't really have a good way of asking about it. I just kind of wait and see if it comes up. I do ask about the election because I want to date intelligent people. I don't want to date nobody dumb that don't like follow nothing in life. So yeah, of course it comes up. So yeah, I think it's just about people having a good moral compass more than them having a certain political stance. Because if you're voting for Jeb Bush, I'm gonna frown at you. Yeah, that's still a fucked up decision. I'm gonna frown at you quite a bit. But if you're someone and you're like even if you're a Democrat and you're voting and you don't know the policies and you don't know anything about the administration that you're a part of, that still makes me kind of frown at you because like you're giving someone a vote that has a complete control over an entire system, and that's for your mayors, that's for anyone that you're not following. I think that's an issue because that's about you having a fucked up moral compass in general. You need to know you have a huge responsibility and you should have a moral compass about the people that you're inclusive for. Like if you got a woman and she's saying like these women rights are like they're thinking about taking birth control and y'all not trying to have no more kids and you're not trying to vote for that, something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with you. That's just point blank period.
Yeah, I consider myself liberal, but I don't like to consider myself Democrat. I feel like Democrat is a prepackaged system of, how to keep power. But my liberal ideals overlap with Democrats to the point that Democrats are what I vote for because they are the party that's moving closer to my ideals. And I like to make sure that people know that my ideals come from my foundation and my upbringing. It's no candidate that's going to convince me right now what to believe in, because the reason that I feel like prison reform is needed on a higher level is because my daddy spent his time in jail from when I was 3 to 14. The reason that I feel like minimum wage need to be upheld is because my mama worked at Walmart my whole childhood and didn't make enough money to buy herself clothes for real. The school system I grew up in, the reason I don't fuck with Betsy DeVos is because the school system I grew up in was broke, didn't have any money, fired a bunch of teachers in my 9th grade year, and they had 2 more years to finish their, contracts out, but they all left. And so coaches taught most of our classes. So I wasn't prepared to go to college. I'm in debt right now because of that lack of preparation for college and going there and flunking out my first stint at Auburn University, and so my life has informed what I believe. Now, I don't quite know exactly what the answer is on a mass scale. So that's why like the Democratic debates are healthy for me because I get to see the range of all the options that a government has to address the things that I have, and so that's just what I believe is a part of who I am. And I choose the person that most likely get me closer to what I desire to have. And I feel like if I'm choosing you as a person that I value, then and you understand that you got to where you are based on your life and your beliefs, first off, I'm going to align with people who are closely more aligned with me, and I feel like if the shit deviates at some point, that's one of them Napoleon type situations where shit done went south somehow for some reason and we need to get you some help before I just like, what article did you read? Like, what sentence did you read that made you say, well, that shit ain't right. This is where I'm at now. What the I want to read that convincing motherfucker, to see.
Convincing motherfucker.
That's what I want. I want to read that shit because I want to know if they really know what they talking about or if your ass was just on the edge of going in a direction that was too far away from me to help, And I never would have thought about it like this until Trump. I never would have thought about it like this until Trump. I'm thinking about it like this now because it's showing me that America can get worse.
Yes.
Shit can get worse. I always operated like, damn, shit is bad, but it can get better. And it's like, to me, it's like I always tell people, like, America ain't as bad as it was, but racism is a fire that's been put out, but you still can't fucking jump on top of the goddamn smoking ass heap. Shit still goddamn hot. It's like the fire back now. That's what it is. The fire done came back. And so it's like, it making me think in different ways. Like my kill switch before used to be like, if you never done drugs before and you become a crackhead at some point, that our relationship is over. I can't deal with that shit. Now I gotta add politics to the shit. Like
Yeah.
now if you don't become a crackhead, but if you become a Trumper or a Tea Party Republican, then we don't align no more for real.
That was the precursor to all
Yeah.
Yeah.
that Tea Party. It's just the one thing that I like what both y'all said, because like I was saying, like, I identified as, if you have to pick a party, I identify as a Democrat, right? Because like I said, realistically, like, you got two parties, and like, but the ideal version of what this country could look like and should look like is where the three of us, who all probably share a lot of the same views. You talk about environmental protection, take care of the environment, all that kind of stuff, like, and prison reform, minimum wage, all these things, right? Healthcare, all this stuff. We might have little nuanced differences in what we think about that, but we're all able to sit and have a discussion on it and be able to talk about it, and we all are focused on the same goal, which is making everybody's lives a little bit better. And we're in a state right now where in this country where there's a line drawn down the middle, and you got all of us who maybe, like I said, don't necessarily identify as a Democrat, but you identify as more liberal. We're all kind of, though, trending in that same direction, where all the candidates you want to support kind of have that same stuff. I wish we could get to a point to where we're talking to two candidates or doing a debate, it's a Democratic debate or otherwise, and I'm really watching and paying attention because I want to hear what one person says about minimum wage versus the other person. We don't, we're in a place right now where 90% of the stuff that I support, obviously, or actually, really, it's like 100% is on the left side with Democrats, because the other side is getting up there and they're saying, hey, you want to renounce white supremacy? And they're like, stand by. And it's like, yo, like, you can't even, like, how, that's not even politics anymore. Like, that's the like, we're so fat. Like, I hate when people are like, oh, everything's got to get all political. And it's like, you post like, hey, Black Lives Matter. Like, I really wish police would stop killing black people. And you always get like the white dude who's like, why are we going to get all political on Facebook? It's like, that shouldn't be a political issue. Like, police killing people with impunity should not be that's not a political problem. We shouldn't have people where you draw a line in the sand. It's like Democrats want police to stop murdering black people, and Republicans are like,
and they kill white people too. That's the crazy thing.
So
they kill white people too. The whole thing needs to be reformed.
Right. That's the part where it's like, they've aligned it more so as, where it's because like the Black Lives Matter protesters go out there and protest no matter what happens, whether the police kill somebody, right? It doesn't matter if the person killed is black, white, or otherwise. Like, they're out there protesting because the whole issue is, hey, police should stop being able to just kill people, kill unarmed citizens, right? Mm-hmm. It just so happens that disproportionately they usually kill us more than they kill other people. But like, the issue still is there, but they've gone ahead and decided to align themselves to that. And so it's so funny when you see like the crickets, a white dude gets gunned down by police, and it's like, there was one, the dude got shot. He was hands down with his hand on his head in a hallway in an apartment building, and they just shot him and killed him. And it's like, yo, where's the Blue Lives Matter crowd? Where's the police, thin blue line? They were all dead silent. You know what I mean? And so it becomes like they've co-opted it and made it more of a white versus other thing, or a Republican versus everybody else thing, or like,
exactly.
So now we're just in this state where, you gotta pick one team, hopefully, and then try to hold that team accountable. So that's why people were saying like they don't want to vote for Joe Biden because of blah blah. I'm like, okay, well look, we got major problems that go way beyond that. You don't like Joe Biden's Medicare stance, so let's get him in there first so we can get all the trash out, but then hold him accountable. If he doesn't, go and do what you want him to do as far as the healthcare concerns go, that's when you continue to protest, continue to write, continue to do everything. And then if they don't do it by the time the next cycle comes around, you vote them out. That's what we're supposed to do.
And there's another dynamic, that I point out every now and then, is that white people have the luxury of being able to look at themselves as individuals, versus us as a culture where we were slaves together, we were in Jim Crow together, we are, brutalized together, we are massively incarcerated together, and they look at us through a lens of all as the same. White people have the luxury of not identifying themselves in the context of the group. And that's a situation where it's like, they joke about this on Comic View. Well, I say Comic View, like Comic View old as fuck. But some comedians joke about this where it's like, when you hear about a shooting or something deep inside, black people be like, I hope they ain't black, because we know that collectively we're all gonna be looked at through the lens of that person doing some bullshit. White people don't have to do that. They don't have to hear somebody got killed and think, how is this going to connect to my existence? Because that's a luxury that they have of being the motherfuckers that made the rules. You know, and so I think a part of it is they can be single issue voters and not think of how it impacts the people next to me too. You know, versus
do that.
We can't. You know, and that's what makes it hard. Like the black vote, as much as I respect what I want done for my culture, as a single issue vote is still a problem, because if you vote for somebody that say they're gonna give you black, but they have loosened up the EPA standards that would allow the kids in Flint to get sick like they did, which was predominantly in the black community, then you are still contributing to the downfall of the black community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't, like, I want some shit for myself as a black person, but I also have to vote for somebody who will make the world more environmentally conscious when it comes to the kids that look like me, where factories and plants are going to try to move over there. That's what happened in Birmingham. Soon as these EPA standards loosened up, it's a paint factory over here that they tried to move away from a newly gentrified area to the north side of Birmingham. That became a big point of contention between the mayor and the city council, because they wanted to just move this fucking toxic ass place from what used to be the black community to the new black community because of white people moving in there. And so, like, I can't be a single issue voter for a whole bunch of shit, because we still get disproportionately impacted by all of those other things.
By everything.
Exactly. And on a chance that the motherfuckers who are saying that we'll do this shit for the black community will do it. On a chance that they'll do it. But we know that they rolling this bullshit back that's gonna fuck up kids when government need to be responsible for lead pipes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we know that they're impacting the potential for kids in public schools finances or the funding to be impacted because charter schools are opening up, you know, and they supporting it. So it's just a whole system where a single issue vote is not something that we have the luxury of being able to have as a culture that's impacted negatively by so many systems back to back to back to back.
I wish we could get there.
I mean, I think it's even harder as a black woman, because not only do I have black issues to think about, I have women issues to think about, because women, we are like one little tiptoe about sliding into the handmail's tail. We are literally so close to it.
Actually,
so like
one Supreme Court case away, really, at
like,
this point.
Yes, which is one of the main reasons why a lot of women were fighting so hard against Trump, is because he had such, even when you have a president in office, the idea is that they're supposed to cater to still two different groups of people. They're not supposed to just cater to one group of people. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately for Trump, is he doesn't play ball very well. He holds the ball. He does not go back and forth very well. So first of all, it was a disrespect that they even pushed this Supreme Court nomination even through. Like, it was crazy to me. Like, I kind of thought it was a joke at first, like that we were even fighting about it, because I'm like, oh, they're not going to push that through. Like, once again, this is why I say, like, this voting for Trump is not just about, it's no longer just a political stance. It is a morality stance. It's a morality stance, because you're basically saying, we don't care about women having rights anymore. We don't care about them having birth control. We don't care about them, because a lot of these people that say they pro-life, they still use birth control. You can't have that no more. They're saying in general that they don't want, children need to be born. Now, there was a huge story that went out in the UK, I want to say the UK Daily Mail, that basically they were talking about the fact that white people are not procreating enough. And I feel like that is one of the huger stance of the reason why they're trying to push through, and it doesn't matter on everybody else that's going to get involved. They want more children. They need more children. They do not want to become a minority. And the issue that I have with those kind of issues is white people are not going to get punished. It's going to be black people that are going to be essentially black women. There are already black women that were punished, you know, with the bill that was pending that they ended up fighting with the Supreme Court case. The woman in Alabama ended up losing her child, and they ended up taking her to court and trying to put her in jail because they thought that she induced her own, they thought her own miscarriage. They thought she induced it on herself. They're going to take that way of incarcerating more black women. Like white women are not going to go to jail in the massively because of this. It'll be mostly black women and Hispanic women and Asian women that'll mostly go to jail for this. And I think for me, it's a morality stance. It's a morality problem. It's not just about you being, oh, well, you know, I like for them to, because even though Republican Party is going away from their original views, they're supposed to be moderate spenders. They're supposed to be very conservative. And we have a president who has sex scandals. We have a president who says he likes to grab people by the pussy. There's nothing conservative about that, and they are not moderately spending. We've spent more money in this administration than we've spent in a very long time. But then, heck, they spent more than the Bush administration, which is insane to me. So it's about, not only is it a morality complex, but Republicans need to really start thinking to themselves, are you even voting for the original views and values of your party?
And I think that's one thing that we need to do a better job at understanding, because like all Republicans are conservative, but not all conservative are
Republicans.
Republican, because a lot of Republicans, like conservatives do believe in small government spending, but Republicans don't believe in small government spending. They believe in spending money on the same shit as conservatives believe in spending it on, but not as much, because Republicans just want to spend as much money as they say the Democrats want to spend just on the shit that they want to spend it on.
They believe in saying it out loud, but
yeah,
you know, then it's like they're doing something else.
It's just a whole crazy situation. But you know, we here now. We in politics now. You know, so
welcome to politics land.
And we 2.5 hours in the podcast too. You know, so we do it.
We need to do another show. We need to do another show. So we got.
You okay with doing another show?
Podcast. That's a long podcast. So
it's a long podcast. It's really up to you guys. I mean, once again, I don't got.
Only thing I wanted to say was about Wayne.
You want to do we just want to do just a quick little segment on Wayne, and then
let's not Wayne out, but we all gonna have to get back together, man. This is a good conversation.
What's a coon to a goblin? That's what I was going. That's it right there.
Goblin.
Like
not a coon to a goblin. I'm finna die.
That's all I had to say. I could end the episode on that, because like that's all I got to say.
I was never a Lil Wayne fan, and he's always been problematic.
Not really. Yeah.
He's been hell, like he got a dark-skinned daughter.
Lil Wayne.
He has a dark-skinned daughter, and he has a dark-skinned first love of his life. And he went on the air on, was it 50 Cent's podcast, and said to me, he said to the whole vast majority that, you know, he prefers others and white women because they seem more exotic, and black women are not exotic enough for him. He'd been making messed up statements, and I felt like that was going to get him canceled.
He made a Black Lives Matter statement. He
made so many
Black
statements.
Lives Matter ain't got nothing to do with me, basically. He talked about, I don't see racism because the white kids in the front be throwing their hands up at my concerts and shows. I used to love Lil Wayne. And the reason that I love Lil Wayne, and it would have been any artist who done this, is because he
made fire music too. I mean,
he made fire music, but what he did that I really like when artists do that's my age is they make reference to all the shit that I've watched. You know what I'm saying? He made references to all the cartoons I watched, to the music I watched, to the movies that I watched. He did that shit all through his music. So I was just trying to, you know, get to that part of it. You know, that's what I liked about Wayne. But that's pre-skateboard Wayne. Post-skateboard Wayne is dead. He's dead to me. And now
he's pre and post skateboard.
Yeah, not the post skateboard.
The moment that he said I'm a skateboarder, and you can watch this video on YouTube, he jump on that skateboard and he fucking eat the fucking pavement. Like, you know what the hell he doing. And that Wayne died for me after that. His music wasn't the same, his interest wasn't the same. It don't sound like he's rapping for the culture no more. It sounds like he's rapping for the money.
Yeah.
You know,
it's not like an art
anymore.
It's
like Kanye too.
I guess the question becomes, how much credence should we give celebrities when it comes to this? Is it a problem of we don't like celebrities talking when, because we okay with celebrities when they say something that we agree with, but when we don't agree, so should celebrities be able to put their words out there? Should they not?
Yes. And we have every right to cancel them. That's how it goes, right?
Like, Michelle.
See, it's for me, it's a little different. The problem I have is that they make money off of these opinions. They make money off these opinions. Like they're not just they're. That's the problem that I have with it. Like Chrisette Michele, she made money off of that opinion. She made $500,000. That was the last $500,000 she made in the United States, and she made money off that opinion. Kanye West sold merchandise and products and got interviews and got in certain kind of positions from that opinion. So he made money from that opinion. So it's not just an opinion. It's not them just stating an opinion. They're making money off of those opinions by aligning with a certain group of people. So if you're using that to make money, then you should make money off of the people who are people that are going to be harmed by that same opinion.
Or the people who got you there.
Or the people that got you there, like Kanye West.
Like Kanye West.
A huge part of his career happened after he said that statement about Katrina with George Bush, saying that George Bush did not like black people. That was a huge turning point for his career. Like, black people started really fucking with him because I'm going to be honest with you. He was always known for making good music by all means, but he wasn't an icon in the African-American community until he made that statement, because we were like, he's putting his job on the line. He's putting himself on the line. That is what made him align with us. So when he stopped doing that, he became a different fixture. A completely different fixture, to be honest. A fixture I can't really get with. And I'm from Chicago, so Kanye hurt me way more than Lil Wayne did. I was like, damn, that's Kanye. It was like, I'm a nerd from Chicago. Like, I was.
How you feel about Chance the Rapper then, being from Chicago?
I never claimed Chance the Rapper. He does not make music for me. I always felt like I never really thought of him as being as good of an artist as everyone else did. So that was I never felt a connection with him. But once he started making the statements that he made without any kind of credibility, without any fact, without anything, like, he always likes to pop his head out on Twitter, make a problematic statement, and then disappear in the background, but never wants to validate or back anything up. I mean, he a kid to me. I don't really have anything to say about him, to be honest. Like, Kanye West is an elder to me, so he holds more weight because I grew up with him. But as an adult, it's hard for a new artist to influence me in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah.
It was good to see Childish Gambino emulate his character in Atlanta. If y'all saw that.
Yes. It was.
Yeah.
I was like, it feels good to believe that Chance the Rapper is this, like, underhanded, sneaky ass motherfucker. But at the end of the day, it seemed like he too Christian to be rapping the way that I care about. Like, he made some kind of tweet. Yeah. He talked about some show or something that was happening and was like, it seemed cool, but this magic thing ain't Christ-like, to be honest. And then on that show where they was rapping, one dude did a video and he was like, you got to be careful who you let handle your music, because it looked like it was some demonic, it was some demonic symbols in that, and, that don't hit hard with the Christian population. I'm like,
he's a fake Christian to me, though, because I'm gonna go too far with that, but I feel like it's fake Christianhood when you can support, somehow you can find ways to be supportive towards people who make very offhand and backhanded statement about the black community in a way that could be very harmful, as in like harmful, as in people could die kind of harmful. You can support or try to protect people that make those kind of statements, but then people need to watch what they put in their videos. It just seems very contradictory to me.
Yep.
It is.
It's very, and I mean, that's fine because he's young. He's a kid. He's still trying to figure things out. And I don't cancel young people, because I know I was young and dumb. I used to say a bunch of stupid shit and do stupid shit all the time. I don't cancel younger people. They got time and room to grow and understand and learn and read and unlearn these awful ass behavior patterns. But people like that's as old as Kanye and Jay-Z and Lil Wayne, they should have been known better. I feel like they are not above being canceled.
I like
some of that.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, if we want to talk about cancellation very, very briefly, for Kanye, my cancellation of Kanye started earlier than his recent antics, so to speak. Like, to be 100% honest with you, it started when he first came out with the album 808s, where I felt like he was taking a wild departure from the style of music and everything in his art form that got him to where he was. Didn't like the album. And then things started to get weird, right? Where
he was on drugs. That's why he was on drugs.
Yeah, and then then he came out and he was calling himself Yeezus, and I was like, I'm not an overly religious person, but I was like, that's not a you're a musician. Like, I mean, yeah, you're an iconic musician, or at least you were an iconic musician. And so you do have a lot of weight, and maybe you are, I guess in the rap community, the rap game, you could compare yourself to a Jesus like or a prophetic like figure if you want to. But number one, as somebody who grew up in and around hip hop, and like that's not what hip hop and rap is about. Like, it's not about the whole culture of it. Is not about trying to like lay out a prophecy, depending on maybe what subgenre of hip hop or rap music you listen to. But like that's where and then the weirdness started, and then I was just kind of like, it was more of a soft cancellation of like I'm just not gonna listen to his stuff anymore. You know what I mean? Because like I just and then he started saying problematic stuff, and so for me it was like, yeah, but he's been like off his rocker and kind of weird anyway. Like, I'm not giving any weight to what he's saying. So so then he comes down that damn escalator with that blonde hair at Trump Tower, and I'm just like. So many people. The part was like so many people hadn't been paying attention. I guess they've been wrapping themselves around the albums so much and being like, "Oh, musical genius," and then they're like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And I'm like, where y'all been?" Like he's been in a slide for like a decade of getting to craziness and to weirdness. Like this is not a shock to me that he would suddenly come out and some stuff is pretty like, and well, then that's mostly mental health related. Like like Harry didn't free to play. I'm like, my man's like, bro, sit down. Like, you're done.
Sit down.
You done. Like, you done. Like now when we did want to hear from you, because you were trying to get Black people into the forefront after Hurricane Katrina, and like we wanted to hear from you because you had a platform that you were using to help like advance our cause in a way of trying to achieve some semblance of better equality in this country. Like, now what I need you to do is the horrible phrase of like they were talking about telling LeBron to shut up and dribble. Is like, no, Kanye, like you need to really like just go in the studio and just make music, like just like, because like when you talking, like it's super problematic now. Like
I was done. I mean, I've never been. I mean, I look, I can all his first 3 albums. I know all them songs.
I love all of his music.
808s and Heartbreak. I saw that as an ode to his mama. He had unresolved grief and trauma. And that's what it was. And I just don't think he ever recovered from that trauma. But where I was done with him at several points. I was done with him in the context of his narcissism and entitlement when he put out that poop-de-poop, whoop-de-whoop shit. Just to show them that people, fuck with me, I can do whatever I want. And then when he, as on the mental health tip, when he came out saying bipolar is my power, when he was notably not taking his medication, like that's the wrong message to send to people that had that shit, because now I don't know if it's his superpower medicated or his superpower unmedicated. I don't know what he meant, and that ain't healthy for my profession for people to think that, the shit that they got going on with their bipolar means something, and it is what it is.
You got a powerful platform, man. You gotta be really careful about it, and so that's like to the point, like the question, like, should celebrities be able to say stuff or be canceled?
They should be able to, but
I mean, it's America,
they need
right?
to understand that the opinions that they make that are money, they make money off those opinions. They're not regular opinions. It's not like one of us going on Twitter saying, "Fuck Donald Trump" or "Fuck Kanye." We not making no money off those opinions. I'm not making no coins off of that.
So, but the other part, like, you could also hurt your money with your opinion. I mean, that's like
and we mostly can hurt ourselves.
Ice Cube's got a lot less likes on the tweets he's been sending lately versus the tweets since before that.
He is an old head that should have just been quiet. He's an old head that should have been. I understand the idea. Like, even with Kanye, I understood that there was a mental idea, and I feel like with artists, they're not the best with like saying their ideas. But Ice Cube is not a politician, and he doesn't understand like. Politicians are lawyers. They go to school for this. There is a lot that goes into litigation that is more than just writing a few things on a piece of paper. Yes, it's a complete profession. It's not.
I don't want to hear Joe Biden rapping.
No, because that's not his profession.
Right? Like, so that's like it was so weird to me. People are like, we need to get rid of all these career politicians. I'm like, no, we don't. Like, when I go in to get my shoulder operated on or get open heart surgery, I'm not like, you know what? The dude that's been performing open heart surgeries at whatever hospital for 30 years, now I want him. You know who I want? I want that dude over there who's been a circus clown for the last 10 years.
And this is the thing, like, if we're going to get rid of the career politicians, it need to be the right way to get rid of them. It need to be gathering and rallying up people that you support to run and voting them out. Motherfuckers they want to do it like a State of the Union. They just want to goddamn blow the whole goddamn Senate up in a session, to get rid of the old politicians. Like, Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell finna go. Yeah.
I want new politicians who are going to be new career politicians to replace the old ones. I don't want
young politicians. We need
young ones.
People. We need younger people. We do not need people in their 70s, which both our candidates are in 60s or 70s. We do not need this no more. I'm tired of seeing this. We need people who are younger, who have fresher views and a fresher eyes on society. We do not need these kind of people. I'm tired
of getting there.
That's what's happening. That's what's happening.
They're in the House. You know what I mean? There's folks running for the Senate and stuff like that. Local elections, like we're getting there. That's the one thing that's like, when people are. There's a lot of people wanted to basically blow the whole system up and think we're going to elect like a 35-year-old president right away. And I'm like, no, we got to get there. We got to, as much as I wish, like I'm a big fan of AOC out of New York. Like I wish she was running for president, right? Because like that right there, I would vote for her 10 times over 10. But like we'll get there. We got to like people,
yeah,
got to understand. Like,
definitely got to start off slow. We definitely
that's been my dialogue because. I'm on a radio show on Sundays, and I was like, listen, just to be blunt about it, Trump, Biden, McConnell, Lindsey, Pelosi, Schumer, they all going to be dead in 10, 15 years, okay? Or they're going to be too old to do their damn job.
Tired,
whatever, yeah. Are we going to let their proteges be the replacement, or are we going to let our proteges be the replacement? I mean, we're already seeing all of these grassroots movement with Jamie Harrison in South Carolina. Yep. Cori Bush just won. I mean, AOC won her shit. Ilhan Omar won their shit. Yep. The reason that conservatives have to steal politics now, the way that it look like they doing, is because they know that it's becoming blacker, it's becoming more feminine, it's becoming more LGBT, it's becoming more persons with disabilities, it's becoming all the shit that they've been writing legislation to keep these groups subdued for so long. And now all of the legislation that's gonna change the world for the better for us that's done passed in the House is sitting on fucking Mitch McConnell's desk that he don't want to put out there. And that's the problem. And so this shit is changing. If you pay attention to politics, it's changing. And what I'm trying to fight against is people believing that the Democratic Party is what it is and it's always going to be this versus looking and seeing.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's changing.
It's changing before our eyes.
People ain't noticing that. And it's the reason why they're bowing out of the system, because they think that there's nothing that can be done about it when it's already transitioning right now.
Number one thing, man, I was challenging somebody here in Seattle, because Seattle's like notoriously like very liberal, and then there's a very strong sense of like a lot of people who are socialist, like very far left here and stuff like that.
Well, let me break into that. Let me break into that real quick, because when I was in Seattle, it really gave me a new perspective of what liberal is. It made me realize that somebody can be liberal because somebody can be liberal because they want to breastfeed their baby in public with no issues, and they want feminine women issues on the forefront, but they still don't give that much of a fuck about blackness. And when I was in Seattle, I was like, it's hard to find a black person in a city that's notably liberal, and people were still looking at me like I was black.
I wish it wasn't COVID, because I would have told you, and I think I was out of town too, but I would have told you need to come down to South Seattle. We out here. Like
I went. Look, I
all the other places though, it's hard. It is real hard.
So we was looking for some hood food. I said we gonna go find some hood fish, and I found this fish place, and I drove there, and that's when I saw all the signs up that was Black Lives Matter signs. I said, I was in
my neighborhood. Do you remember where you went?
It was a fish place that was across from like a Safeway store, but the fish place was on the corner. It was like a new little shopping center. I can't remember
Emerald
the name.
Emerald City Fish.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
It's black owned. It's a black owned spot. Yeah, that that Safeway. I tell people who are like, there's no, because we always hire people from outside of Washington and they move here, and they're like, where's the there's no black people in this area, like, because they be living like over across the water, like. They ain't no black people out there. It's like Trump country. Like you get like far like suburb, like ain't no black people out there. I was like, I promise you, Rainier Avenue South, on the south side of the city, that Safeway that you saw, there are times a day, I'm not afraid of anything. I was in the Army, I've been to Iraq, like, there are times a day I do not go to that Safeway because that is like, I'm telling like we are in the building. Like it is strong. Like it is very strong, man. Like,
But look, out of that whole trip, like in terms of communicating with the community, that was the best experience I had because the man that was there, he said, "You sound like you from somewhere different." And I said,
Yeah.
"I'm from Alabama." And he was like, "I lived in Alabama. I got a cousin that still lives down there." And he said, "I've lived in 48 out of 50 states across my life." I was
Pretty
like,
cool.
"Damn, how long was you living everywhere? 3 months? Like, how did you?"
Yeah.
but it was a good ass conversation, man. It was enjoyable in terms of communicating with the people. But what you can go back to your point.
I don't remember what it was. I got hyped.
I'm sorry, I
Emerald
broke
City
it.
Fish and Chips is so good, man. That's why I'm like, man, like I might have to go there today. But no, I think what I was gonna say about it is like shoot, I don't even know. It was something about with liberalism and being in a place like this where
I think you were saying that there weren't liberalism doesn't him understanding the definition of liberalism. I think that's what we were trying to get to.
Oh, not
include
yeah,
black.
yeah. So one of like the what somebody might consider like a crazy lefty, right? Like the kind of people that are like way far left. And he was like complaining about stuff, and it was like, and wasn't my candidate. Like I'm not gonna vote for Joe Biden and blah blah blah. And I'm like, look, man, here like to the point of like trying to get things younger and trying to change things is like, stop just sitting here and complaining on Facebook or complaining at like a little community event about it. Like if you don't like it, like the city council, anybody can run for city council. We got a dude I just voted for. He looks just like Mr. On Point. His name is Chikandi Salisbury. He's running for the district right here. He's a local community leader. He's born and raised, grew up here, went to Rainier Beach High School, which is a black ass high school right down here. That's where all the athletes come from too. They got like Jamal Crawford from the NBA. He's from there. He from there and everything. Like so, and he's lived, born and raised 40 years. He DJs local events and stuff like that. So and he's running for city council, and it's that's what you got to do. He realized he's never really gotten to politics, but he figured now is the time for him to get into it because, he wants to try to actually affect the change that he wants to see. He's tired of seeing the same kind of candidates come in and not really, really focus on the neighborhood. And that's what I was telling this dude. I'm like, look, man, if you don't like it, you should run. Unless something's stopping you, if you financially you can't afford it because, you need to make sure you're paying your bills, taking care of your family. But that's what I would tell folks who keep complaining about the Democratic Party is stop just complaining about it, run for it and change it. We got to change it from within. You know what I mean? Because we're not going to be able to get that super grassroots movement of some new socialist democratic, democratic socialist party. It's all of a sudden going to sweep a bunch of seats. It's just, but you can like we're doing now. Joe Biden's got all these task force stuff, environmental, all this stuff that any other Democrat 10, 15 years ago wouldn't have as their platform. And it's because that's what the constituency is asking for. Exactly. And so it's incrementally moving in that direction. You know what I mean? He's a primary, him and Kamala Harris. People who criticize Kamala Harris as being, from being the Attorney General in California, both of them support right now, decriminalization of marijuana and amnesty for low-level marijuana offenses and stuff like that. They're trying to that's part of their official platform, which that wasn't even part of President Obama's platform. And I love President Obama. You know what I mean? So that's the point that we're trying to make, it's that things progress over time. President Obama didn't support gay marriage when he first was running for office. And then over time, he changed his mind, progressed, you grow. So that's is when people are criticizing, even when they're criticizing Joe Biden, well, 30 years ago, he supported the crime bill. I'm yeah, and he thinks it's a mistake, and he grew over time, and now he's trying to you can't just throw people away because they're.
He was underneath a black president. We need to understand that. You could definitely change working with a black man.
Yeah, we gotta be a little bit we can't always sit here and wait for the perfect candidate. Nobody's perfect. Human beings are not perfect, and so if they haven't been there's nothing that I disagree with AOC on at all. So from the beginning of her career until hopefully she runs for higher office one day, I'll be yeah, I agree with everything. But not everybody has. But what you hope to see is that there's been a progression or a change or an evolution over time to where somebody can say like Hillary Clinton did, yeah, me saying super predators was really messed up. I messed up on that. And so here's the steps I've been trying to take over time to do better. And I'm going to continue to do better for you. That's what you hope to see. And then you don't just throw them away and not vote. You say, okay, I'll take you at your word that you're going to change, put you in office. And then if you don't do it, we'll vote your ass out and vote for the next person. Like, so, because guess what? On the other side of it, they're steamrolling ahead, trying to block all the legislation on Mitch McConnell's desk and trying to get Roe v. Wade overturned and trying to overturn, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what we have to, people need to realize what you're up against, which is like incremental progress, even if incremental progress feels really painful and doesn't feel so great, or absolute train wreck regression, like total on like, so it's like, bro, we only have two choices here. Like we gotta, like, it's like you're saying, Eddie, like you can't just be single issue right now. Like you gotta, maybe put a couple of them in the box for now. Let's focus on the one, which is like not going back to like 1940s America, 1930s. I don't want to go back to Jim Crow. I never lived in it. I did a lot of studying on it. It sounds really terrible. My grandparents lived in it. It sounds really terrible. Like, it sounds like it was hot garbage, right? Really don't want to go back to anything close to that. So like, I'm going to take the step right now, put this old dude in here so that we can stop the damn bleeding, and then focus on what we do over the next 4 years, get that policy push, you know what I mean? Like focus going forward. And then, because same thing, he ain't gonna be president forever either. You can't be. You get 2 terms or you're gonna die. And then you gotta move on and like and keep trying to make the progress happen little by little. But
well, I was just, to wrap it up, because we had
like 3
hours
there.
It's tough. I'll talk to y'all about how y'all feel we should roll it out in a minute, but I only know several things about Ice Cube. I know that he had a good day one time. I know that he he plays himself in movies with kids, and I know that he don't know what the fuck he's talking about with this goddamn shit.
Yep.
I think that the thing I hated about Cube and what made me be like, I don't want to hear nothing he got to say, is that in all his interviews, he made it sound like he did some level of research that nobody else have access to, that made his knowledge superior to anybody else who could do it with his platform. And when he was questioned about it on the Roland Martin show, he was looking at a screen, reading it off. The best thing he could have done was find somebody that's a better talking voice for him and to communicate his shit the way that it would have sounded good for somebody to do outside of him. But at the end of the day, on the radio show, the host asked, if you had an opportunity to meet, would you? And, some of them say, yes, I would, because we got to have a seat at the table. And I'm like, man, if that seat at the table was like, have y'all seen The Island?
Yes.
If your seat at the table is like what they do at The Island, if your seat at the table is really you finna get fucked up, or it's a movie, I can't remember the name of it. It's a movie with Ice-T where these rich people invited him into their life and groomed him and stuff to really take him out to their hunting grounds.
Actually doing the same thing Ice Cube is. He's meeting with the Republican Party too.
Yeah, well, in the movie they groomed him. He was homeless. They groomed him, gave him money, took him to these hunting grounds to really hunt him. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's what you're doing when you come to the table with this administration. I don't give a fuck about black people coming to the administration before this to talk shit. I don't really care about people going to the administration after this. As long as the person who you're talking to ain't somebody who has actively done something to disenfranchise blackness. Like, if you didn't know, Trump used to clear his casino floors of black dealers when racist white people came in there. He didn't rent to black people. He took out the pay. Like, it's a laundry list of things he done to show that he don't respect black humanity. And that's not somebody that I can sit at the table with and talk about black shit and believe that he's interested or would possibly even do something about it. Even if he wins with all the pressure on the black community helping him get in, I don't think he cares enough to do something. I think he's conniving enough to say he'll do it and not do it because it's something he really don't give a fuck about. So, but that being said, look, I appreciate y'all for not only being on the show, but for fucking being on this bitch an extra hour, goddamn. Like, we in here. But the conversation was too good to not have, and we gonna have to one, Collin, you welcome anytime, but see it, we gotta have to get you on, so it can be two women versus one dude in these conversations.
Yeah, that'd be a good
Red.
different dynamic. Yeah,
Yeah.
different dynamic would be great. Yeah, yeah.
And I think that'll be an interesting dialogue. But do y'all have anything else on your minds before we roll out? Y'all could see it. You can throw your contact and your podcast stuff out there.
Shameless plug in. I am from the Let's Not Go There podcast. Again, you can follow us on Instagram. We're trying to get our numbers up. We talk more about a relationship in a more comical fashion than they do here on the podcast. Neither I nor my co-host are experts. We don't know nothing. We really don't. And we say actively on the podcast that you're gonna either get some of the best advice you've ever gotten in your life or some of the worst advice you've ever gotten in your life. But you're gonna definitely be entertained. We do talk a lot heavily about sex because we feel that the Black community we don't really talk about sex in a way that is favorable for men and women, in a way that it's not demonized. We're always demonized when we talk about our relationships with each other. So we talk about that a lot on the podcast, and we talk about it in a very funny way. Some of the stuff that we say is absolutely wrong, off the wall. You're probably going to be pulling your hair out like, I wish, why would they say that kind of stuff? But it's funny, and it's definitely, we definitely want you to follow us. And also you can follow me or my co-host, FM Live. He has an Instagram and a Twitter, and my name is Sid the Twin Kid on Twitter. I do have some styling things, but I'm not going to plug them today.
Yeah, I just got nothing, so I'll just channel the inner Red. When you say you have anything else on your mind, I say I do not.
Okay. Well, until we come to the next conversation, we out.
Peace.
Holla.